Welcome to the podcast series Talking Success, connecting the global FinTech community. Today we talk everything crypto and investments, and we talk with CEO Kristjan Kangro of Change. Change is a rapidly growing FinTech, providing everyone in Europe access to exciting investments. Tens of thousands of people from 30 EU countries trust Change to build their financial future and have traded over 1 billion euros with them. Since 2018, they've been on a mission to enable everyone to take part in the world's success by making investing simple, affordable, and accessible. From crypto to stock investing to cash management and investor debit cards, Change offers a mobile solution, something for everyone. Hi there, Kristjan. Thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast series Talking Success, and compliments of the season to you. How have things been your side in the Netherlands?
First of all, thanks for inviting me. It's good to be on the show. 2021 was really good year. I think it was the best year for Change, our company, and obviously it was a COVID lockdown, so personally it was not as fun as normal, but it was good.
Well, hopefully this is a better year for everyone. We would love to just kick it off and hear a bit more about your personal career journey, kind of what drove you to the startup world, and also obviously to become a founder of such a successful organization.
So I'm coming from a small country called Estonia. It's 1 million people. So it's like probably I've never met an Estonian because it's so few of us. And, I was very inspired in the early days when I still went to high school and went to university about the story of Skype. There were a bunch of Estonian guys basically built this global like messaging and calling application. And I was really inspired how, an office of 100 or 500 people could really change hundreds of millions of lives. And henceforth, my company is called Change now. but anyway, I think that story really inspired me. And from that inspiration, I started with a couple of startups. So one in Netherlands before and one in Estonia. They were not terribly successful. Then I did a stint in venture capital in Singapore. And then I started Change. And I would say, Change has been a little bit more successful than the previous ones. So we have around 100 people. We have around, 100,000 customers. And 7,000 investors have invested in us, around 20 million euros. So it's not the success of Skype yet, but we're on the way.
Yeah, you're definitely on the road. So, and what got you passionate in the first place, around sort of FinTech and also obviously taking the risk to start a company? In addition to the journey and the success of Skype, personally, what sort of inspired you and motivated you?
I think the main motivation was still this element of impacting millions of lives. So let's say you're a school teacher, you can impact really strongly 30 people in the classroom. Maybe if you do masterclass, you can inspire more, but that's already a tech company. So what really personally motivates me to be in the tech space is, this fact that this exponential impact, you have 100 people in office catering to 100,000 or 100 million customers. And if you talk about Change particularly, what inspired me was the fact that many ordinary people don't know how to grow their wealth. So I was working in Singapore in the venture capital company. So venture capital companies invest in startups. And we were making consistently 30 to 50% returns per year. And obviously the minimum ticket to investor was 500,000 euros. So for me, really the personal story was that I was in venture capital company and I saw how much money we made to really wealthy people. And I wanted to really democratize this. And therefore I started Change. And now our mission is to kind of remove the borders and complexities from wealth creation. So that is the mission, what we've been working on for years. And, we're lucky to have these 100,000 customers who are using us and whose barriers and the complexities to wealth creation we're removing.
And I mean, Change has embraced a truly global ethos with, like you mentioned, over 100 people across, I believe it's 21 nationalities. I mean, has this been a mandate from the start? And how do you feel that this has given the company the competitive edge?
I think many people don't appreciate the power of diversity, really. That, when people are coming from different countries, they have different ideas and different perspectives. obviously the more diversity you have, the more difficult it is to manage this as well. I mean, you know, probably yourself as well that like, you know, it requires different management styles, and sometimes like there's a little bit culture clashes and so on. But on the other hand, like the benefits of having this diversity of opinion really, I would say, like outweighs the negative elements. And yeah, therefore we really hire globally the best people we could find. We're really competitive in choosing the people, and yeah, it has been an advantage to have these 3 offices in Singapore, in Amsterdam, and Tallinn, and these 21 different nationalities.
Brilliant. And obviously, everyone's, you know, a lot of people are working remotely, and sort of managing that element, I would imagine, also comes with its challenges.
Remote work is always more difficult because, you know, like there are different things what inspire people. And definitely like one of this is this feeling of belonging to a certain cause. You know, like many people in our company feel very passionate about, you know, creating wealth for this, you know, ordinary Joes or average Joes. But obviously this feeling of belonging comes much stronger when you can actually be next to these people, go lunches with the people in the organization. And yeah, we're trying to kind of mitigate this to like have like get-togethers and events, but still, yeah, it's much easier to create this feeling in one office. So you're right. Remote work comes with its challenges.
And you personally, as a leader, you know, how would you describe your leadership style? And what is your kind of, I suppose, your go-to in terms of improving business performance and inspiring the people that you work with under you? Yeah, just generally, what sort of a leader would you say you are?
First of all, I would like to say that there are a couple of different leadership styles what can result in a very successful company. For example, you take like a completely authoritarian leadership of Steve Jobs, what was extremely successful. You can take like you know, like the complete opposite of Google and this empowered culture, and they are very successful. So there is no right or wrong answer. What some people might think it's all about empowerment, but actually there are different styles what work. I would say I'm definitely like a more empowering leader, and it is because I believe that when you hire very smart people, they are more motivated if they're given the opportunity to make their own decisions. Of course, when you empower people, you need to have a very strong structure or some kind of a framework in what they operate. So if there is no concrete mission, for example, in our case, it is to remove barriers and complexities to wealth creation, then, you know, like people can, you know, then it can really kind of like go a lot of different directions. So if there's a strong framework and you empower people to make decisions within this framework, I think that that results in a success.
No, brilliant. Agreed.
And obviously, in terms of business performance, I think you also need to be a little bit like penal about actually like, you know, following up on the results as well. With empowerment, you also need to have clear goals for people. And one of our values actually a change is result driven. So you know, like there's no like micromanaging, but, you know, results need to be there as well in our company per position and also as an organization.
And Change has seen some impressive growth over the last few years. What would you say you can attribute that success to? And how do you feel you've done things differently?
I would say that there are a couple of things what we've done differently. So number one is that we're really community driven. So, you know, like most companies have, you know, like the service provider and customers. We don't think it this way. So we have basically us and then the owners who are customers as well. So for example, we have over 100,000, let's say call it customers, but we have 7,000 of them also being shareholders or, you know, some equity instrument owners in our company. So can you imagine 10% just also like backing the team? So I think like that is something what we've done really differently. Secondly, we're big believers in cryptocurrencies and crypto. So we have been really, as an investment app, you can invest in Tesla and gold and many different instruments, also like our convertible note through our application. But we've betted a lot on cryptocurrencies, and obviously they have grown a lot in the last years. And that's definitely been the second kind of reason for success. And I think the third is really the team, what we've got together. I mean, it all starts and ends with the team, and I think we can be really proud of the team, what we have. So yeah, big kudos to everybody in our offices.
Yeah, it's exciting to see that sort of growth. And like coming back to the people that are working with you, how do you go about sort of selecting your teams and the sort of people that you work alongside? And obviously you've had the challenge, it's called a challenge of having, cross-border teams and obviously a lot of different cultural differences. Yeah, just to get a little bit more insight in that, really.
So, every company has a mission. So why they exist? Every company has a vision or long-term objective. What do they want to accomplish when they can say that they've accomplished the mission? But they also have their principles. So, some certain elements what make the company successful, how people behave, what make the company successful. So we also have them. So we have 5 principles. And when we are hiring people, we always make sure that these people can live these principles. And, some of them are, being customer driven, being result driven, being empowering. Like there are like many, like 5 of them in total, and every time we're making a hire, we want to make sure that these people correspond to these principles. So I think that's the main thing. Secondly, in the early stage of the startup, and I would consider us still early stage because we are, under 100 people at this point. I think the last one was 75, last count a couple of weeks ago. But nowadays we hire a lot, so I don't know how many we have. But,
and you're still hiring.
And we're still hiring. So obviously, like in this early stage, we also want people who are more mission driven, not compared to like, let's say, like financials or economic interest driven, because in the early days, like life really hits you with many things, especially in the early days of a startup. You have ups and downs, and sometimes you feel like, oh my God, this is too difficult. Other day you feel like, we're definitely gonna, like list in New York next year, and then we're back at, okay, we're gonna die next month. So it's, it's up and down, and I think people who are driven by the mission of the company, they can really hang on, and people who are driven by monetary values mostly. Obviously, monetary is always an element, but if they're driven by monetary elements, primarily, then normally they don't stick around.
And we also sort of love to ask speaking to founders, what are some of the big life lessons that you could, or pearls of wisdom that you may have for those kind of in the fintech space who are, scaling up and, growing their business or starting something?
I think there are 2 advices. One is for the aspiring fintech entrepreneur, and the other is for just an aspiring tech entrepreneur. So for the fintech entrepreneur, I would tell you the FinTech. So the fin part really means something. And that means that you're a regulated business and everything takes more time and a lot more time. So for example, to start an investment app, it's not like, putting like a small prototype or an MVP together in 2 months and launching. It might take you 9 months to get the licenses. It takes you millions of euros to have regulatory capital ready for the regulators. So I think for the starting me, I would just mention it once more, that are you sure? But I think like the starting me would say, I'm sure, I'm just going to make it happen. But yeah, it's more difficult than it sounds.
Okay.
So the patience and also like the regulatory complications, what you have when you start the fintech. Obviously, there is a reason why regulators are there. So it's good for the customer and customer protection, but still something to note there. In general, for any aspiring tech entrepreneur, I think what I would tell is that it's all about consistency. If you wanna, let's say, if you're in a 7th grade in high school and you wanna fly a satellite around Mars. When these 30 people in the 7th grade would just work 30 years, all of them in the life, to actually get it around Mars, they will make it happen. Somebody would be good at sales, fundraising, somebody would be good at mathematics or leadership. They will get more people involved, they would do it. What happens in reality, in first year, somebody doesn't want to do it anymore. Then they quit. Some people think it's not possible. And, whatever the reason is why they will most of them will quit before they're, have worked on it for 30 years. Obviously, most tech companies are not flying a satellite to Mars. They're much easier actually. And it's all about really defining your goal, what do you want to accomplish, and just being consistent. Because, sometimes the company might almost die, or sometimes, everything is going according to plan. But if you're consistent, you can achieve anything. I sincerely believe that. And And I think like that's one of the main reasons why change has been successful as well, and it's one of the reasons why whatever the listener wants to create, if the person is consistent, he can make it happen. But consistency really means consistent. It means that after 4 years, when it's a difficult time and there's no money, then this person opt to maybe live on a lesser money to still make it happen for a couple of more years, and maybe the success will come then.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And we'd love to know what is on the horizon this year for change, and what are some of the exciting developments that you at this point, in this early point, can share with the audience. It would be great to hear.
So change is a very simple investment app in Europe. So that is our product. So you can invest in cryptocurrencies, stocks. You can have a card, a Visa card, where you can actually spend euros. So that's the app today. So what we're launching in 2022, there are really two things. And number one, there is our Visa card will be able to spend any asset. So right now you can only spend euros, but in 2022 you can start spending Bitcoin. You can start spending stocks. So you can go to a shop and pay with Facebook share, for example.
Wow.
So that's one of the big things. And also we're going to launch something what is called staking. So, in the crypto world, you have much higher yields. So, for example, if you go put your money in the bank, maybe you get close to 0%. In crypto world, these interest rates are much higher. So we are going to launch staking as well for most of our cryptocurrencies. So these are a couple of things, in terms of product features, but a lot of our focus is going to actually expanding throughout Europe. So we have a couple of strong markets, but our app is still in English. And we're running English ads, and we have English websites. So now we are going to have like a Spanish app, Italian, many other languages. The app is going to be in these languages, ads, websites, and so on. So like this European expansion, so to speak, is on the horizon for next year.
That's super exciting.
So many things in the plan.
No, that's so exciting. And I know our listeners are going to be watching. Our listeners are going to be watching closely. And should any of our listeners would like to reach out to you or Change, what is the best way to get hold of you?
So Change is a very different company in terms of how close we are to our customers and community. So we have many Telegram groups where if you would just change and crypto into Telegram, or go to our website, changeinvest.com. We have actually communities where you can just go, it's free, and you can start asking questions about cryptocurrencies, FinTech, or product features, so anything. So I think that's the best place to get a hold of us. So really our Telegram groups, and we're super happy to have more community members as well. We're always saying that Change is trying to build not the $1 billion company, but the $1 billion community. So if you want to be part of a $1 billion community, then please join us.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, Kristjan. And we'll be watching the space for sure.
Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode, Talking Success, Connecting the Global FinTech Community. Please follow us on LinkedIn under Talent in the Cloud, or if you're interested in exec talent, expanding your FinTech team, or you yourself are looking for an exciting change in your career, please check out our website, talentinthecloud.io.